When did you know music was going to be a part of your life?
When did I know music was going to be a part of my life? I mean, it's always been a part of my life, really. I was playing piano when I was like in second grade, um, and I mean, just from the beginning of time, I was always a part of music. I was fourth grade playing drums, sixth grade and picking up guitars. So I mean, it's always been a part of me, and I think I have a lot. My parents like really kind of like egged me on to get into it, and there was never really a point where like anybody ever said no, as far as like, oh, I want to like learn how to do this. Like, yeah, go for it. Sure, we'll get you a drum kit. Here you go.
That's badass. So when you were playing piano in second grade, was that because of school or was that something like that you did like outside of school?
You know what? I don't remember having this conversation because I was so young, but my mom loves telling the story. I guess she signed my brother up for piano lessons, and I saw that he was doing it, and I was like, I want to do it too. And then, and here I am.
Yeah, that's badass. I think for me, like in elementary I played piano like in music class, and like I think that really sparked a lot of
Yeah.
me wanting to do so. So I was curious to see if like your school had that, like had any like, oh, here you got to learn Ode to Joy or whatever.
Yeah, well, I remember in elementary school, like I think it was like fourth grade, they finally were like, all right, everybody can pick an instrument. And I had already been playing piano. Um, and I remember I was like, at that point, I was like, the only thing I want to do is like hit drums. I just want to bang on shit. And so they were like, okay, they give you like the little bag with like a snare drum and a xylophone in it. And I
Mhm.
still have them up on a shelf. I like every now and again, I pull it down to just like mess around.
That's badass. Was there any like bands or songs that made you want to be a drummer or learn drums?
I don't know if there was like a specific band that at the time
Hmm.
that really drove me to it. I do, for some weird reason, I still like remember like listening to like the Beach Boys on vinyl on my mom's like record player and just thinking that was like the coolest band ever. And then like maybe that like same time frame, my parents took me to see the Beach Boys at like an amusement park, and John Stamos from Full House was their drummer. And
All right.
there's actually like a picture in a family album of me sleeping during the concert. I fell asleep during it, but it's still a good memory in my head.
that
Whatever.
that's awesome, man. I wish I could have seen Beach Boys or
I
something.
can say I was there. I don't remember it though.
Yeah. Um. So when did you start like wanting to get into like live music?
Live music was like probably eighth grade. I remember when I was in eighth grade, I got like the Take Your Pants Off and Jacket Blink 182 CD. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh man, I need to learn how to play guitar. Like, this is what's cool now. And I remember like eighth grade, the summer going into high school was like full drive on like, I need to make friends and get in a pop punk band now.
That, that's badass. For eighth grade, it was more like new metal for me, like
Yeah.
play some Papa Roach kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so did you learn guitar after that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I remember that Christmas, like like begging my parents to just get me a Squire Strat. And my first, I think like the first song that I learned how to play was I learned how to play like the G chord for like Good Charlotte Motivation Proclamation. And that was like, oh my God, I'm so good.
hell yeah.
But that was like one of the first songs that I learned how to play because it was like really simple. It was like G, C, D or something.
Yeah. And then so after that, like, what was your musical journey after you started playing guitar? Did you join any bands or anything?
I would I have literally been in a band since that time. Yeah. I was in every kind of band you could imagine. I wanted to be Newfound Glory, so I started a pop punk band, found a singer, recorded records. I grew up in Connecticut, and I remember being like 16, just started this band, and I was like, we have to get a record, we have to make a CD. So I like called around, and I found this recording studio in Southern Connecticut called Trod Nossel, and it's like actually. It was like a studio that was famous for like recording a Fleetwood Mac record, and we got there, and I, you know, like I didn't even listen to Fleetwood Mac at the time, so I'm like, okay, whatever, that's cool. I'm punk rock,
Yeah.
and I see like a record on the wall for Hatebreed, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, cool. So I told everybody, I was like, yeah, we recorded at the same studio as Hatebreed, but yeah, I've literally like since I was 15, I've been in bands, just doing it, trying to make something happen, staying busy.
That's have you always been like super confident about the music that you make?
Oh, never.
No.
Absolutely not. I am so self-conscious of every little song that I come up with. Here I like I can't even record my own music, like the real stuff that comes out, that I take it all to studios. I do all my demos here, but I'm so like unsure, and I always want to work on it. Like if you let me just record the album, you wanted it next week, like it'll take like 7 years. Like I'm every day I'm like, I need to add something else. I hate this pre-chorus now. So like a lot of the the final products that you hear from the bands that I'm working with, I am really like I've made a really good relationship with producers, because I just like to have input from somebody that's not emotionally attached to it like I am.
Yeah.
Any song that, yeah, and with how I am here in my demos, I'll show them to my girlfriend, and I'll be like, hey, check out this song, and like while I play it for her, I have to like leave the room because I'm afraid to see what the reaction is going to be. It's usually positive sometimes, but it's great to show it to people who don't know where my perspective is, because they'll be like, I don't get it, it makes no sense, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's enough, stop.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's crazy. Like I guess to go to a studio like the Fleetwood Mac studio and just be like, did you what came of that when you went and you recorded there? Was it just like a little demo or something with your
We recorded 8 songs. I think we recorded 8 songs, and this is actually a really great story. So the engineer, who was working with us, his name's Greg, and he just had us all set up in a big room. I mean, we're like 15 years old. He's like, I'm sure at the time he was probably 20, he was in his 20s.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure he was like, oh, this is going to be such a shitty day. Like, okay, great. I got all these kids with skater shorts and backwards caps coming in, trying to be newfound glory. And he just had us all set up. We isolated the amps, but we all stayed in the same room, and he just hit record, and we just went through each song. His last name's DeCrosta, Greg DeCrosta. So when I watched him work on Pro Tools and just like editing our music and like making it clean and making it sound cool, I like really inspired me. And from that day, I remember like sitting behind him while he was editing. I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And I always was so excited about recording music. Fast forward 20 years, I still stay in touch with him, and he just actually like remotely tracked horns for the new Mighty Mighty Boss Tones record. So I was like, I'm sending him like ska, like snippets of my songs, and I'm like, Greg, I don't suck anymore, dude. And he's like, oh, all right, sounds good, man. But every now and again, I'll get on Facebook and I'll be like, Greg, dude, you got to show the dudes for the Boss Tones this. He's like, yeah, it's not gonna happen, but I hope you're having a great day.
Hell yeah. So speaking of your ska music on, and I mentioned TikTok, like I found you, I think just like posting like, hey, starting a ska band, and then you posting your trips to the studio. Like when did the idea to even start a ska band like come? Like what was your
I
thoughts?
I mean, it was always something that was in the back of my mind when I was like really young. I mean, we're talking, this has got to be late 90s. My neighbor brought over the Real Big Fish CD, turn the radio off.
Mhm.
And I remember that shit just changed my life. And it was always, I just could never find anybody that played horns. Like I was in school band and stuff, but I just never asked anybody. Like I never had the balls to like be like, I want to start a ska band. So I always started these pop punk projects because they were easier to get off the ground. But I had always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to start a ska band. It was like I just every time I go to a concert with those kind of bands playing, it's just always the most fun. Everybody's cool. There's never any bad vibes in the room for the most part. And last year when the pandemic started, I was kind of in this like limbo phase. I had a band called My Kind of Fire that we kind of fizzled out. We were in the middle of recording a new EP, but like shit just wasn't coming together. And we all decided to just like take some time apart. And within a year, it was just kind of like nobody was doing anything. And the pandemic hits, and I'm now like no job, and I'm like feeling like, you know, just depressed and trying to figure out what the heck my next move is going to be. And I remember I was like, we had just what me and my girlfriend had just watched that Pick It Up documentary. And I was like, I just got crazy inspired again. Like something lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, I should fucking just start a ska band now. I got nothing to do. And she's like, do it. And so like not really taking it seriously and just starting to demo stuff out here, I just kind of started putting together a couple songs, and I'm up on my rooftop with my earbuds and listening to Krista Makes a Podcast from Less Than Jake. I'm listening to his podcast, the very first episode last year. It's probably April or June. And at the very end of the podcast, he goes, oh, hey, you know, if you're a musician and you're looking for help writing a song, shoot me an email and maybe I'll work with you. And I was like, shit, I got like three that. And so I said like out loud, I was like, I should hit up Krista Makes. And my girlfriend Danielle goes, you're stupid if you don't. Like, you should. These songs are kind of cool. You should do it. Yeah. So I shot him an email. And I said, yo, I got a couple songs. Would you want to like help me produce them or like, you know, work on the arrangement or anything? And he like emailed me back in like 20 minutes. And he's like, what are you doing on Sunday? And I was just like, oh, okay. So that's kind of where this started. This started last June. We got into the studio. I worked with him primarily on arranging the songs. We would just hop on Zoom once a week and just kind of hash stuff out. I'd send him a demo. He would call me back. Hey, I love this verse. I don't really get what's going on with your I have like second verse-itis. My second verses are always just like all over the place. So he was really helpful when it came to like just kind of getting my ideas in place. He would, you know, put it under a microscope and be like, yo, what are you trying to say in this song? And it kind of like, you know, it got me to have tunnel vision where in a good way, where I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, I know where I'm going with this. But we worked on 4 or 5 songs, and then I produced another 5 or 6, went to the studio, this studio in New Jersey called the Gradwell House. Mm-hmm. And I worked with Nick Gradwell, who is just a phenomenal producer and engineer. He also plays in a band called Man Overboard, but he was kind of co-producer. Yeah, little band. No big. This is my name dropping session. Everybody who watches this is gonna be like, oh my god, yeah, okay, we get it, dude, you're cool. But I teamed up with him, and we just, you know, we made this record, and now I'm here. We're getting ready to roll out the first song soon. I think by the time this airs, it'll be out and in the world.
Yeah. So what what made you choose like the Gradwell House to record at?
I'd been working with Nick for years. Nick was actually producing my old band. I think we made an EP in 2017. Mm-hmm. And I just had such a positive experience. We clicked immediately. You know, sometimes it can be pretty nerve-wracking to, like, you know, work with certain producers who, you know, don't see your vision and it was just the complete opposite way with Nick. We became fast friends, and, you know, whenever I went to the studio and worked on music, I just never felt like pressure. I never, you know, it was always like we were just having fun, and then you'd be like, you know, 8 hours later, you're like, oh shit, it's like time to go to bed. Okay. but I started working with him when he was in a studio that he had with Ace Enders called the Lumberyard, and I was in and out of that spot with multiple bands for 2 or 3 years. And I just knew that when I started working on this project that I wanted to bring it to him, because he just really has a way of making shit really come alive. Like his ear for harmonies, and he'll sit there while you're tracking something, and he'll kind of start talking to himself, and he's like, yo, try this. And then he'll just like sing something, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I not think of that? And it's just like every single hour there was like a new idea, and I was like, I love this shit. So it's been such a positive process, because he adds so much to what I already, when I'm thinking that it's going to be done, I'm like, oh, this song's great. He just has already brought it to a different level for me, and I'm not interested in going anywhere else. So go to the Gradwell house, kids.
Hell yeah. I think they have a TikTok too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We're all trying to get TikTok famous.
Yeah.
Well, while we were in the studio, we're all like strategizing what our videos are going to be and shit.
Man, that's badass. So on the album, you play guitar, bass, and do vocals.
Yeah.
So who'd you get for horns?
Horns. So this was this was Nick too. I had hit him up before, months before the session, and I was like, I don't really know anybody like that is like a session player. Could you like refer me to some people? And he told me, he shot a couple emails out and hit me back up, and he was like, yo, you should talk to John Ryan, who plays in Keep Flying. He plays sax in Keep Flying. Dave Heck, who plays trombone with Aaron West in the Roaring Twenties, and also plays bass in a really awesome punk band called the Bad Ups. Mm-hmm. And you should send a message to Matt Stewart, who plays trumpet for Streetlight Manifesto. And I was like, are these guys gonna like even fucking call me back? And sure as shit, like every single one of them was like, yep, I'll play on your record. And I went, oh my God. Oh, are you kidding? And, so then there was just like months of me sending demos back and forth to everybody. And here I am like thinking I'm bothering everybody. I'm like, hey, I got another revision for this horn part, but everybody was super cool. They've all been so supportive of the project. And we shot a video a couple weeks ago for the first song, and it's all just coming together. It's really cool. They've all been working with me in a like strictly recording capacity. Mm-hmm. But John and Dave have both expressed like, yo, we're in this, like we want to play these songs live with you as soon as possible, so book a show. So within a matter of months, hopefully I'll have a show booked, and I can make it out somewhere.
Jeez, that's so badass, man.
I can't believe it happened. It's kind of like a lottery, like scratching a lottery ticket and winning. I was like, holy damn.
Damn, that's a crazy ass horn section. Man, that's wild. I'm excited. So
me too.
So what is the name of your project, of this band?
So the Ska Band. I spent months and months and months, and I was texting you about it. We were having fun the other day, but finally like 3 weeks ago, it took so long, but 3 weeks ago I'm watching the Interrupters live from Tokyo set, and they start playing Title Holder, and I'm like, I love this song is so great. And my girlfriend looks at me and she's like, why don't you call the band Title Holder? That's a badass name. Like, that's cool. So the first thing I did was I was like, oh, Spotify, let's see. And I'm like, nobody has it. Yes. So I like jumped on DistroKid and like registered it and stuff. And it just like, I'm calling the project Title Holder, not just because it's like a cool Interrupter song, but like the lyrics behind that song and the message of it, like, is a really inspiring kind of motivational track. And it really like moved me, and it made a lot of sense. I didn't want to just like throw an arbitrary name that didn't have a lot of meaning behind it, because, I mean, I know that's like a big thing in the ska, the ska community is put ska in front of things. Dave Heck, who plays trombone. I mean, he's got the best sense of humor. He always, like, for months, he would text me just really ridiculous band names, but they were always so funny. And I was like, that'll be our other side project that you're the front man of.
Yeah. I think you should have gone with Matt Sullivan, but it's okay. Title holder is cool.
Hey, you know what? I mean, it'll be my like singer-songwriter version. If there's ever any acoustic shows where the rest of the band can't play, I'll just introduce myself as Sullivan.
Hell yeah, man. What's your plans like for the rest of the year?
So we are going to roll out one song every month. So August 31st is going to be the drop of Animal, which is going to be the first song, the debut of title holder. And I'm going to try to get one track out at the last day of every month until the entire EP is out. The EP is going to be 7 songs, and then I'll repackage it as an actual EP. But I'm so happy with how all these songs came out. I want to have each one live as a single for a little bit, just to let people digest it. And I think they deserve it. I think, I've sent the record around to a bunch of people, and everybody's given me a lot of positive feedback. And it's just nice to kind of get that validation from folks. But yeah, so each month I'll put out a new song, and I'm trying to get a video with everything. I'm shooting another video in 2 weeks for the second track. And then second or third week of September, I'm going to shoot another video and just wait for those to all get produced and see what happens. Everybody's dropping singles now. I'm like, all right, I got to hop on board. As much as I want a full length record, I'm like, okay, I have to like show some restraint. And
True. So it's obvious that you're more than just like a player in your band. Like, you're doing all of everything as far as like getting the recording set up and marketing and even all that. Like, where did you learn how to do that? Like, how do you know who to reach out to? Where did you get all of this kind of like more of the business like knowledge?
I mean, I got into it. I mean, I've just always been doing it myself for so long, and I got back onto it. You're the actually responsible for getting my ass on Twitter again. You were like, dude, you need to make a Twitter. You're like, no, I remember asking you about a month ago. I was like, hey, who else should I be emailing? Because it's always just been networking. If I'm friends with another band and I saw that they got a magazine article written about them, I hit them up. I go, yo, how did you do that? And they're like, oh, I talked to Brian at so-and-so, and he, he'll make you an article. And so, I mean, just networking, you got me back on Twitter, and I just have been like endlessly messaging everybody. You were like, yo, check out #Ska Twitter. And I just hit everybody up, and everybody hit me back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is one of like 14 podcasts lined up right now. And I'm just like so stoked at the ska community and how receptive and cool everybody's been. Like, I don't remember it being like this cool in other genre groups. I mean, I'm also old. I'm very old. I've been doing it a long time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, shout out to the ska community, especially online. Like that Discord is pretty crazy. Like,
I love it. I love all the meme channel is my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Our friends at Ska Punk International.
Yes.
Chris.
Good old Chris Reeves. I'm like, man, he was one of the first people who would talk to me and respond, and now I like text him stupid memes or whatever.
Yeah. I like to consider us fast. I think I consider us friends. I'm sure that he does too. As soon as I got my Ska Punk International shirt, I was like, oh, let me get a picture of this shit.
Yeah. That dude's such a good dude.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go back a little bit to recording. I want to just bring up bass for just a little bit in this.
Let's do it.
Episode. When did you start playing bass?
I started playing bass. Probably, I mean, I had always like screwed around, whenever I was doing a home demo, I would just, I'm a pick player. Don't crucify me, but
Mhm.
that's what I do. I can play with my
Yeah,
fingers. Like
yeah. I got little Ska Dad picks.
I love it. I I mean, I've been playing bass for probably 10, 15 years, but 2014, I auditioned for like a easy core band. And they were friends in the area, and they like put a Facebook post, and they're like, "Oh, our bassist just left. We need somebody." And was like in between projects, didn't really have anything going on, so I was like, "Yo, I'll play bass in your band." And that's like when people started like recognizing me as like a bassist. And I was like, "Oh, but I play guitar too. Like, I'm pretty good at guitar." But like, I started playing in a band called Legend of You as a bassist, and then I graduated to playing rhythm guitar with them. And then I started my kind of fire where I played guitar, but I was always roaming around, always playing bass. Um, and then last year, right before the pandemic, it was probably January, I started playing bass in a pop punk band called Card Reader.
Mhm.
And that was, old friends who had made this record already, and they were looking for a live lineup. And my friend Tom, who's the singer and the guitarist and primary songwriter in that band, he gave me a call, and he was like, "Hey, we got this gig lined up in April. Would you want to play it?" And I said, "Yeah." You don't have to ask me, just tell me where to be.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened. The show got pushed, and he's like, "Oh, well, I got this other batch of songs, and I'm headed into the studio." And he actually records with Nick Gradwell as well. Um, he's like, "I'm headed to the studio, and I'd like it if you'd play on these new ones." And I was like, "Absolutely, yeah." I get to hang out with Nick all day, and bullshit, and play fun music. Okay, cool. Um, that all happened, and after those recording sessions, we just had such a good time that I was like, "Tom, like, I'll play bass in this band forever with you, as long as you want it." So we've been like this pandemic band, like, that was kind of like this side project that I wasn't really taking seriously because I wanted to launch this other stuff. But now, both of these projects are kind of like neck and neck with how much passion I have for them.
Yeah.
um, we just recorded another EP. We're dropping a second music video, I think, in a couple weeks. I have to double check. Actually asked Tom to text me the date so I wouldn't screw it up. September 9th, Card Reader is dropping a new music video for a song called Smiling Ghost, which is already on Spotify. And in September, we're flying out to Milwaukee and playing the Interstate Music Awards like live stream. This is a funny story. I don't want to get like too off the rails here,
Mm.
but so like 6 months ago, I come home from like a party or wherever I was. I came home from a friend's house, and I was drinking all night, and it's like 3 a.m, and I see an advertisement for Interstate Music, like there was a competition or something. And so I just like signed up and submitted, and I get a phone call like a month later that was like, "Oh, you didn't finish your application, but we really like your band." And I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, we've just this is Interstate Music, and we've decided to choose Card Reader as a finalist." And I was like, "Are you fucking with me? What? Okay." So we end up, long story short, we end up winning this contest based on it. It's like a voting system, but there was judges, and there was like a dozen really awesome bands that had all applied to be part of this, and they picked us out of all these amazing acts. And at the end of September, they're flying us out to Milwaukee to like shoot this live stream that's going to be live on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. And um, we just had a meeting this morning that there's going to be like press conferences and stuff for us. And I'm like, this is so weird. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk to me about like being a musician? Sure, but write that one down. Thursday, September 23rd. If you want to see Card Reader rock the house in Milwaukee, I'm going to be like going crazy on social media closer to it so that people don't get too annoyed with how much I post.
You got to get some title holder merch. to wear for that.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna shamelessly self-promote all my bullshit.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They're gonna set up like a step and repeat, and they're gonna have like journalists ask us questions. I'm gonna be so when I was starting title holder, Tom's gonna be like, "That's the wrong band, man."
Man, so what bass did you use to record the title holder album?
So I have a player series Fender P bass that is just a dream. I I've played a couple different basses, and I went over to Guitar Center like a couple years back, and I knew that I wanted like a really thin line neck, and a lot of the basses that I thought I was really gonna like, they've got like monstrous fat necks, and I got like T-Rex hands. I got little
Same.
hands. For all you people out there who have small hands, don't worry. Fender will make you a guitar that will work, and it's called the Player Series. It's just so nice. But this Fender P bass, I grabbed that maybe 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago, and I haven't stopped playing that since. And when we won the Interstate Music Awards, they told us we could all like grab some gear, like just tell us what you want. So I grabbed a Fender. It's another P bass, but it's a Vintera, and
Beautiful.
it's really really nice. But I didn't think about how thick the neck was going to be. So when this one's really nice, but it's got a monster of a neck, and I like always relate this to like if you're running with weights on your ankles, like I'll rehearse and practice with this bass, and then when I pick up the Player Series, I feel like fucking Eddie Van Halen. I'm like, oh man, I'm so good. So I'm actually shooting a video next week, and I'm gonna use this bass just so I can like get more used to like having a stronger fretting hand.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's nice. That's like one of those champagne like pick guards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's like a gold. It's like a metallic gold. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, and I was like, oh, I mean, I really want a P bass, and this is the only one that they have. And as soon as I took it out of the package, I was like, oh, this looks 10 times cooler in person than it did in the picture. Okay, cool.
Hell yeah, man. And then do you know, are you gonna take like title holder on tour? What's your plans for
So
that?
we're planning. I was actually just talking with a couple of the guys. We're planning. We're going to take it slow for the rest of this year. For the rest of this year, there's not going to be a show for title holder. I want to let all these songs get out in the air. There was like very early January. There is an opportunity that's presenting itself that I think might be the appropriate time to like debut the band live. So just stay tuned for that. It's not confirmed right now, but it'll be a show in New York, Long Island, something like that. And hopefully this time next year, I would love to be working full time on the road, at least, you know, as long as the COVID stuff isn't stopping people.
Yeah, man. Get vaccinated,
Right.
please.
Do it.
Please.
Do it.
Um, and where will people be able to listen to you?
Everywhere. So on the 31st, August 31st, which if you're watching this, it's probably already happened. Um, we're going to be dropping that song. It'll be everywhere that you can stream: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, all that stuff. And everything will be on there. If you look it up, it's title holder. Um, the handle that I made for social media will be title holder music. So if you're on Instagram, title holder music, TikTok, title holder music, I believe, again. Um, and if you want to follow my random TikTok, it's MTS Audio, and that one's just basically all the behind the scenes stuff. I tried to like get as much of that footage as possible because I love watching that stuff myself. All like the in studio videos of like people working shit out. I've always found that just as fascinating as like, you know, the music video, or if not more. I love seeing it all come together. So that's been like a huge thing for me and growing a fan base before the band even like technically exists is like, hey, check out this shit that I'm doing. And a lot of people, you know, have been like, oh dude, this is really cool, I love watching this stuff too. So it's cool to see, like, you know, we're not the only ones that are like, oh, I love how it all comes together. I'll
Yeah.
watch like how it's made for 3 hours because I'm so excited. Wow, that's how they make Reese cups, huh?
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, hit me up when you want to come through Texas. You know, we got
Yes.
you. Got you some Mexican food. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, man, I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you for taking time to talk to me. And I'm stoked for title holder, and I just hope you have a good day.
Dude, I likewise, I want to thank you for having me on here. And if you're ever in the New York area, I'll show you all the dark, dirty little spots that you can have the most fun.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate it, dude. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.